You've seen them, right? The hacking highlight reels. That one flashy screenshot that just says, got root. But what about the messy reality that gets you there? You know, the chains that break, the shells that just die on you, the hours that just vanish? Well, this is all about turning that chaos into a reliable blueprint, moving from a fragile series of hopes to a rock-solid end-to-end plan. Man, this quote just hits home because it's a feeling so many of us know deep down. The problem, so often, isn't that you're missing some technical skill. It's the whole approach. It's treating a complex process like it's just one single moment of victory, when really it's a system where every single link has to hold. So here's our game plan. We're going to start with why these hacking chains are so fragile in the first place. Then we'll dive right into the common mistakes we all tend to make. And finally, we'll get to the good stuff, the artifacts first blueprint, a method that honestly changes the game and leads to success you can actually count on. First up, let's really get our heads around this fragile chain. Look, the big idea here is to stop obsessing over the final pop or the root shell and start seeing the whole thing as one interconnected system. Because if one link is weak, the whole thing just falls apart. It's that simple. The whole process really breaks down into 4 critical stages. First, you need a provable remote code execution. We're talking about getting the target to run your code, not just a lucky one-off. Second, you need actual control through a stable shell, your command line on the machine. Third, a smart hypothesis for privilege escalation, how you're going to get higher access, not just a blind guess. And finally, you need clear proof and a plan to clean up your mess. Each step has to produce a tangible artifact that you carry to the next. And this is where it gets painful and, frankly, a little funny. The author of our source material spent a whole 47 minutes wrestling with an exploit so unstable, it felt like it needed, emotional support just to run. That's exactly what happens when we ignore the system. We waste time babysitting a process that should be rock solid. Which brings us right to our first major mistake, chasing the exploit. This is all about confusing that fleeting moment of execution with a stable, working relationship with the target machine. And trust me, they are not the same thing. This brings up a really critical question you have to ask yourself. When you get a response, are you actually proving your code ran, or just that you can, hit the endpoint? The author spent nearly an hour thinking they had RCE when all they were really doing was triggering an error page with a timestamp. That's just reachability, folks, not execution. And this is the key distinction, right? RCE, when it's done wrong, is just a moment. It works sometimes, under perfect conditions. True control, though, that's a relationship. It means you can interact with the system, you can recover if the connection drops, and you can maintain state. That is the real goal. All right, let's move to the next mistake and see how this all connects. Building a bad shell. The source uses this absolutely perfect analogy for it. It's like trying to walk a cat on a leash. It's frustrating, it's unpredictable, and you end up spending more time just managing the leash than actually going anywhere. Confidence without receipts. Wow. That just perfectly captures it, doesn't it? That feeling of getting a shell and thinking, I'm in, I've won, but having no reliable, documented way to prove it or get back in if it dies. You've got a screenshot, but absolutely zero process. So here's the deal. The crucial point here is to make a contract with your shell before you even think about moving on. Can you run, say, 5 basic commands without the output getting all garbled? Can you hit Control-C without killing your entire session? And most importantly, what's your plan to get back in when, not if, but when it drops? Answering these simple questions can save you hours of pain down the line. Okay, we've seen the problems, we've felt the pain, now for the solution. This is the real turning point, the artifacts first blueprint. It's a system designed to finally stop the bleeding and end the cycle of fragile chains and totally wasted time. So what's the secret sauce here? It all comes down to one word, artifact. An artifact isn't a feeling, it's not luck, and it is definitely not just vibes. It's a piece of tangible, testable, and repeatable evidence that proves you've actually completed a stage and can confidently move on to the next one. And here is the blueprint in action. It's really just a series of simple contracts you make with yourself. Step 1, get one reproducible signal for your RCE. 2, build one stable control channel and have a recovery plan. 3, rank your top 3 most likely PrivEsc paths. And finally, 4, capture only the minimal proof you need and have a cleanup plan ready to go. The rule is simple: no artifact, no progress, period. Now let's talk about that next step, privilege escalation, and the final, big mistake, aimless treasure hunting. This is what happens when you get a shell and just start running every single enumeration script you can find, collecting facts like they're souvenirs without any real purpose. So you gotta ask yourself this key question. Is your enumeration actually feeding a decision, or are you just collecting souvenirs? Are you gathering info to confirm or deny a specific hypothesis you have? Or are you just hoping something interesting pops out of all the noise? One is the path of an operator, the other, a tourist. I mean, the difference here is night and day. The tourist runs every tool under the sun and just hopes for the best. But the operator forms a hypothesis first, like, okay, I bet this service has weak file permissions, and then gathers only the specific facts needed to prove or disprove that one idea. It's focused, it's efficient, and it is so much more reliable. So let's bring it all together. By following this artifacts first blueprint, you completely transform the entire process. You move from a crumbling, unreliable path to a clean, retellable story, a story that you can explain, you can repeat, and you can report on professionally. And this is something that really sticks with you. That feeling of winning but having no clue how you did it, it can honestly feel worse than just failing because you can't learn anything from it. You have a victory screenshot but no blueprint for next time. The goal is to have both. If you remember just one thing from all of this, please make it this. A chain you can explain is a chain you can repeat. That right there is the fundamental difference between an amateur and a professional. It's all about building a reliable process, not just chasing a lucky result. So we'll end with this question for you. When you look at your own process for getting from RCE to root, is it truly built on a foundation of testable, repeatable artifacts? Or is it powered by hope, adrenaline, and maybe a little bit of luck? The answer to that question, well, it can change everything.